sanamukela masoda amahlelo omhla ehlelweni sevele ishayile insimbi yesithupha lo mhla ekuseni kusho kona kuqala kwehlelo lakho lolithanda kakhulu ikusile breakfast show. You can also watch us on our YouTube page Eswatini TV. Sanivesela sanamukela lilanga liviki lekuqala ke lilanga lekuqala leliviki lesicalako. It is the 18th of September 2023. My name is Lungelele Makakula. Ngihambe ngethwa ke mbukela. I'm with my co-host Mnguni. How do you do, Sfiso?
Doing very well. It's actually the second last week of the month of September. Lungelele sesiyayiphetha inyanga ya September. We'll be going into October very soon. Chokuphetha kweminyaka ke lokho. So we are grateful to the Lord Almighty for keeping us until this time of the year. Starting this Monday morning on low temperatures. In fact, it's a bit drizzling in Babane this morning. Temperatures from 11 degrees Celsius expected to rise up to 20 degrees Celsius as the day progresses. Ngwelo muhle siyakhuthata ukuthi nangabe uphuma nyalo ekseni ube nalo nje ijezi lotawulembatha ungabulawa ngemakhata ungenwe yimikhuhlane. Very good morning to you. Sibuya kuyo imphela sonto sibonga longe dulu kusipha itibusiso tempilo. Lungelele, it's going to be an interesting show yet again today. In fact, an interesting week, expecting the UN General Assembly to start langeni laksasa. It should be an interesting week indeed. But what do we have on the show today?
Yeah, I think kukumbuta sebe nje sifise ukuthi only 8 days away from the secondary elections. Kepeke dokumleke ukuthi sicala ngema special voting which will be on the 26th of September. Bese kubangile kwelanga lelikhulu lapho khona sibe sitawuphuma sembe siyovotela labo lesibakhethako. Kukumbuta also ukuthi we will be broadcasting live konke lokutabe kwendeka ku ema secondary elections.
48-hour broadcast. We'll be live the whole time, and we do promise them a lot of facts, a lot of interesting analysis from our end. We do hope on their end as the citizens, the spirits are amicable. Lena itinkundleni lapho khona kutabe kuvotelwa khona kube bede lapho khona sekulimala abantu khona ne behavior nje kube ngileyo le desirable sitawukhona ukuthi sichube umsebenzi welive ube ngilomuhle.
Alright, once again, we will have in the studio Basi Ministry of Home Affairs, having the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Ministry of ICT, Ganyana RSTP, Bapartnerisha, Launch electronic visa, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nayo, and International Cooperation, and the Ministry of Tourism, Nayo will be prominent players in the success of this project. This project is in line with His Majesty's vision for the country to achieve first world status, as well as the government's strategy to improve the ease of doing business in Eswatini. We'll be joined by Sandile Mazubugo, who is the acting chief immigrations officer.
Kanzike temidlalo, what an eventful weekend nasi khuluma nje ngetemidlalo from the local front domestically siyelana eceleni kwamakhelwane PSL South Africa to the English Premier League where a lot of teams la favor bantu labanengi, the most famous teams in shambles. Manchester United, Chelsea going through the most, but let's discuss all of that when Linda Master Lamina, our in-house sports journalist as well as analyst, joins us to unpack Lena conversation. Lena, see Chelsea, at Manchester United. This is not the way to start any season if you're a team lefana Manchester United, no ma Chelsea. Let's discuss all of that at 7:30 today.
All right, that's where my papers are 8 full on Flexen. Alright, sihlanga buka 8 times of Eswatini lo mhla ngomsombuluko dihlole thamba embili. A 60-year-old woman was burnt to death in a wildfire. Kanti ke sigameko lesendeke edlangeni. Kuletinye thamba embili, old government supplier exposes more treasury rot. Officers allegedly demand 10% hand lotion to process payment. Kuletinye thamba embili, MP race, Footy's boss says they should reinstate his votes. Kuletinye thamba embili masibuka tinza batama exams nete go slow, pupils will be on their own. Kusho kwenhlangano yakasnat. Kanti kuletinye thamba embili, cheetah spotted at Mlawula after over 30 years.
Kutemidlalo, the leading story is a local one, a game into the new season, bull in hot soup. This follows some capital city Giants fans that attacked Madlenya official during their 1-2 loss in league opener on Saturday. On another one, Green Mamba's Mbutfo top scorers chart. Consider this one speaks to the after the league that has kicked off over the weekend. Green Mamba's Mbutfo Dlamini is the current leading scorer with 15 players also registering their names. Lenyeke Legijima Mbili Swallows to visit late Prince Mangosuthu's family. On the international front, Saints wins Singapore Grand Prix.
Asibuka-ke lethamba imbili Eswatini Observer lomhla ekuseni King leaves for UN Assembly. Letinye ethamba imbili go slow paid laziness ngekusho kwa-government spokesperson says teachers are parents and don't want children to learn slowly. Letinye ethamba imbili government owes us 54 million emalangeni ngekusho kweSwazi farm. Letinye ethamba imbili chief stops buchopho candidates campaign.
On the leading sports headlines, Eswatini Observer this Monday morning, refs bribery scandal rocks MRF A leagues. Inzaba kelena lekhulumisa inzaba yama old habits labathi they die hard. These words briefly explain the sad situation in local football. Kanzike lenye Seabirds edge sea robbers. That's lekhulumisa Seabirds let's say wine nwayidlala nemoneni Pirates kulempela sonto lesibuya kuyo. Kanzike lenye Momo Cup voting D-Day. Fans now have only today to vote for their teams and make a difference in the Momo Cup voting exercise.
Alright, nasibuka Eswatini Daily News. Logo kumsembuluko King jets off to US, New York for UN General Assembly. Kanti-ke FinCorp holds micro projects to court over 390 million emalangeni.
Yeah, kanzike kutemidlalo Eswatini Daily News. Those are brief headlines, by the way. Eswatini Daily News. Reunion. Archbishop Bheki Lukhele and Mbabane Swallows are set to reunite as beautiful birds continue to use their former president's assets. Kanzike lenye itsi D-Day for Momo Cup votes. Njengoba kulisuku lwekugcina lwekucasta ema votes under yona Momo Cup. Kanzike on the international front, Bellingham not weighed down by a real shirt.
Alright, 8 minutes after 6 ngilethamba embili. Let's take a break sibe sichubeke nehlelo.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eVeni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba tenteya ngaleso sikhatsi tindzaba letide emagama lacosheme letitsembekile letitsintsa tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni
kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo netemhlaba wonke jikelele siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhatsi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulomsakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letichamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV.
Kwalomuhla siphinza sikwamukele ehlelweni sibuke nathi tindzaba silo semhlaba sasifikile edolobheni eNew York eVeni leMelika lapho khona sitawungenela khona umhlangano webaholi bemave enhlangano yakamhlaba silo singethwe inkhosikati Makela Mahlangu kulolu hambo. Kanti-ke sachubeka nato silo semhlaba sisuke kuleli salibhekisa eveni lasemelika kuyongenela umhlangano wakamhlabuhlangene silo besingethwe inkosikazi Makela Mahlangu.
Ithuba tensimbi yesikhombisa ngelisonto ekuseni esikhumulweni setindiza iKing Mswati III International Airport silo semhlaba sisuke kuleli salibhekisa edolobheni iNew York lapho utawube ubanjelwe khona lo mhlangano lomkhulu we-78 wenhlangano yakamhlabuhlangene. Silo semhlaba sisingethwe inkosikazi Makela Mahlangu kulolu hambo. Sive sethulele silo tilokotho teluhambo loluhle sasifisela lokuhle kodwa sisenda imisebenti yelive khona kamhlabuhlangene. Silo semhlaba sivaleliswe bomake emakhosikati savaleliswa abantu abenkosi nandvunankulu emabandla ayohlukana kwawo nalacwebetelako. Lomhlangano silo sitawumenywa ukuthi siphefumulele umhlaba. Lowake wancusela live leSwatini khona kamhlabuhlangene babe emathendele Dlamini uchaza ngikubaluleka kwekuthi isilo semhlaba sihlale siwungenela lo mhlangano.
Iyakusho lokuyingqondo yayo yembulelwe futhi yelulekwa ngeMeswati ukuthi iAfrika ngangibekise ibona ukuthi iAfrika ingenda naku ukuze ihlume iphindze ithuthuke. Nawo lamavela amakhulu kungafuneka atiphathe njani udlelwane bawo nelive leAfrika nanelive leMeswati. Inkulumo yayo ke iyawuthekeletelwa kuleto tiluba leto ivete inkambiso yelive leMeswati uthi ngeMeswati nje lasebenta nawo lelive eMeswati ahloseni emhlabeni wonkana budlelwaneni nemavela amanye pheceleti foreign policy waphela kwehlukile anmani nje kuhambe live ngalinye makhanya line tisekelo temthetho luchumana nemave nekudlelana nalamanye mave lekuthiwa i-foreign policy variable ngesingisi.
Baholi batawucala kwethula tinkhulumo kusukela ngolwesibili mhla til-15 enyangeni leSetulo. Lobeka kwetindzabeni ngisandile Makhanya esikhumulweni setindiza iKing Mswati III International Airport.
Kwalo muhla sibhekile ke ukuthi singakadiphethe tindzaba talomhla ekseni sititfole titfombe taso silo uma sifika eveni lasemelika edolobheni laseNew York kuyawungenela wona umhlangano wenhlangano yakamhlaba ebaholi bemave United Nations General Assembly. Sisachubeka nato ke tindzaba liphini landvunankulu Themba Nhlanganiso Masuku lithi tebuchwephesha ngitona ke tingumgogodla wentuthuko kanye nekusimama kwemnotfo yemave emhlaba ngakho kumele tiqiniswe tawukhona kuletha isombululo kuletinkinga letihlasele emave.
I bring warm greetings from His Majesty King Mswati III, who could not make it to this summit due to other very pressing national issues. The National Development Plan of the G77 articulates that the transformation of their economies will be through the development of national systems of innovation.
Liphini landvunankulu Themba Nhlanganiso Masuku lithi timiso te-G77 tichaza ngalokusobala ukuthi kunesidingo kulesikhulu ukuthi emave langephansi kwalenhlangano abe netinhlelo leticinile letawuletha buciko lobutawusita ukuthi iminotho yalamave ithuthuke. Masuku uthi lokukhinyabeta lamave kwesela abantu labangachuba licwaningo. Nokumasukuthi kulolu hlangothi laseSwatini libonakala lenta kahle ngobe kusukela ngeminyaka wanga-2017 tinombolo tiveta ukuthi liyakhula linani lebacwaningi kanti lokukhutsata ukuthi tinombolo letsetulu tabomake kanye nebantu labasha. Masuku wephethe inkulumo yakhe ngekukhutsata ukuthi tebuchwepheshe atinakwe kakhulu ngobe ngito letawuletsa sisombululo etinkingeni letinyenti letihlasele sive lesiswele kudla ngenxa yetidvungudvungu letikhona emhlabeni, tehlakalo kanye nekunyabeteka kwemnotfo wemhlaba. Kanti ngalokunye sewephetsile umhlangano we-G77 plus China lotsetse amalanga lamabili lebewubanjelwe eHavana, eCuba. Lokunye lokuvelile kulo mhlangano ukuthi emave avumelene ukuthi kube nesikhwama lesitawusita emave langemalunga uma ahlaselwe tehlakalo. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Bongani Matsebula eHavana, Cuba.
Lephinland vunankulu Themba nhlanganiso masuku likhutsate bafundzi labenta tifundvo tebudokotela eCuba kutsi balisebentise kahle lelitfuba labalitfolile babuye babeke inhlonipho nekubeketela embili kute-ke batophumelela. Masuku ubuye wanxusa labafundzi kutsi bakhutsate bondzanga yabo eSwatini kutsi banake imfundvo ngobe imphumelelo yelikusasa labo isemfundvweni. Lephinland vunankulu belihlangene nebafundzi bakuleli eCuba.
Naninanile makhaya. I think it would be important ukuthi nibosherisha ne group lenganga nanfikile nje ekhaya, and you can establish WhatsApp WhatsApp groups and khona to share your experiences with labantu labalekhaya who think lemthelo lesibhadalako bangahamba bashisele isikolo ngalo talomthelo wethu, you know. Sengene la Cuba neva kunema hardships ngene akhanza kushiswa emathayile labande livele ngashiselwe emathayile.
Labafundzi babe sebachazela liphinland vunankulu ngalaba kwendako kuleli laseCuba netinsayela abahlangabetana nato.
Nesengiphetha i-pre-medium lapho khona basifundisa Spanish, baphindze basifundise bo physics, chemistry, geografía de salud, aprender a aprender. These are the subjects that will familiarize you with the language scientifically so that mawufika first year naka second year getulu so yakhona kuba familiar with the terms lasebenziswa in medicine.
Cause kumatima kahle kahle lokufundza cause kunetimo lesibhekana nato letenta ukuthi nyalo kumele ngidadishe phindze kude gesi kude mandi nangumabe ufuna ukuthenga kudla esitolo ukhanza lilayini noma lokudla ngeke ukhone ukuthenga kumatima kona lokufundza but nje ngilokuthi kumele sifunze size sicethe khona sitokhona ukuthi nathi sibe bamfu kusasa.
Mina ngenda 4th year kushothi ngafika 2019 eCuba and kuba likhuni endleleni kuhle kuba likhuni nanyalo kepha siyangekujwayela naloko ngajwayeleke siyatfola indlela ukuthi simane sichubeke sizame kusitana lesikhona kusitana khona kusi nami nakungihlula lelo langa ngikhona ekushaya uvela ilwimi lasekhaya kwenta kube ngconywana.
Ilikhulu lempilo njengoba basho kakhulu kepha we get things done. That's one attitude we have and we don't give up. It's been years lapho khona umvu wafika la Cuba wajika. It's been years. We get things done. Ngisho passing mark ibo 66%, but we all pass and we continue. Sisitana.
Kanti umphathi we-Real Science and Technology Park Vumile Dlamini ukhuthatela abafundzi ukuthi bayibeke embili indzaba yelicwaningo ngobe lokho kungabavulela amathuba lamanyenti emsebenzi babuye bathuthukise nelive.
Kusho ukuthi njengaloku nani nje lapha eCuba kuto kwenda ubuchwepheshe bodokotela nase silivela kangwani silapha sithunywe nguyimbubu emhlaba esihamba nemlomdzala umhlonishwa DPM kuto uchuba lobudlelwane kune collaborator nayo eCuba especially thina nje science park kule labo biotech park njengaloku nathi ukuthi iCuba ihamba embili ku-research emithi emhlabeni nje sayinimithi lengetulu kwenza phose onke lamavi nakachamulo west. So lapha nje sisinani sinikade ukugcina ukuthi leni kufundzako lani kubambe nikucinisa nyalo sibhizi nje sicedzela lama laboratory ebiotech park lapha kutondwa le research livela lapha eCuba ke kwasayinwa iMOU ukuthi collaborate nayo silivela kangwani. So lama researchers alapha kusho ukuthi in collaboration nama researchers ekhaya sabe senda umsebenzi labawendako le makutaba naloku ngisa lama intellectual property of which sinengale sabe siyakhona kwenda le mithi lekhona kuhambisa emhlabeni. So nasi si encourage ukuthi leni kufunza la nikubambe nikucinise ngoma le living ngithumela lapha nje to create your human capital ukhanga sisayidinga kakhulu lekhaya.
Liphinda Ndvunankhulu Themba Nhlanganiso Masuku libuye lapha labafundzisi isipho ngenhloso yokubakhutsata ukuthi batimisele basachubeka netifundvo tabo kuleli. Etindzabeni kubika Bongani Mathebula eHavana, eCuba.
Indvuna yelitiko letangephandle nekudlelana nalamanye ethula idladla ukuthi lelitiko likhulumisana nabocwephesha benhlangano yakamhlaba yetentfutfuko kude bafundzise umhlaba ngendlela lengakavami yekubuswa kwelive pheceleti i-monarchical democracy.
Indvuna yetiko letangaphandle nekudlelana nalamanye emave ethula idladla ithi njengoba indlela lengakavami live laseSwatini lelibuswa ngayo i-monarchical democracy seyikhange nalamanye emave kanti latinye tinhlangano lamanye emave abayicondzisisi kahle. Leli tiko lisebenta nabocwephesha benhlangano yakamhlaba yetentfutfuko i-United Nations Development Programme UNDP kude ifundzise umhlaba ngalendlela leyehlukile yekubuswa kwelive laseSwatini.
Lesicalele nje nyalo sisebenzele na UNDP sitawuthola a technical person lotawu unpack le monarchical democracy lapho inkosi ibusa khona ne ballot box. This is unique to Africa but singamaswati sehlula emangisi atha dismantlisha i-traditional structure sethu sathi it will remain intact. Ngekuhlakanipha kwenkosi obhozwe sibili kwaba ne-evolution sayibona i-democracy yethu ikhula namhla sine-constitution lethi wele emaswati nale ngwenyamane ibakhokhile bovusela abakhokha solo sizama kwakha kwethu.
Indvuna iphindze yabonga inhlangano yakaSADC njengoba ngalesihlanu lenhlangano ihalalise yagubha iminyaka lengama-55 live laseSwatini latfola ndiphethe.
Njengelive lelithandza kuthula nekusimama kuyasithokozisa kuva ukuthi nabomakhelwane bayicelebrate indiphethe yethu. Eswatini as one of i-founder yakaSADC bonke bakhule babona ukuthi nalive lakangwane kunenkosi ngithi kuphela lesichubekile sabamba ubukhosi bethu sathi i-identity yethu ngeke siyilahle.
Umgomo welive wetekudlelana lamanye emave yeSwatini foreign policy uthi live kumele licinise budlelwane nalamanye emave kude live lithutfuke enhlangothi tonke. Etindzabeni yeSwatini TV kubika Samkelsuye Khoza na Fortune Dlangamandla naNelsiwe Dlangamandla eMbabane.
Indvuna yelitiko letemphilo lizinkosi ithi kuletinyanga letimbili kuya kuletintsatfu sibhedlela lesikhulu sahulumende eMbabane sesitawuba nadokotela longcwephesha kude matsambo. Lokho kuvetwe indvuna yetemphilo lizinkosi embikweni lophunyelelwe betindzaba.
Litiko letemphilo enyangeni lephelile licale umsebenzi wekwelapha sive lesinetifo letahlukene tematsambo esibhedlela lesikhulu sahulumende eMbabane selashwa bodokotela labafaka ekhatsi labo labachamuka eveni leTaiwan naseCuba nalabanye balapha eveni. Lolu hlelo latiwa ngele-orthopedic camp kani lulandzela kutsi bekunemaswati ladzinga lusito lwetemphilo lwematsambo ikakhulukati kuhlindwa langema-400 lebebasolo bangasidakali ngenxa yekubate kahle bodokotela bematsambo. Kulesigaba sekucala litiko letemphilo belitibekele ligoli lekwelapha sive lesingama-80 kwase kwelashwa labangama-72 72. Embikweni lothunyelelwe betindzaba indvuna yetiko letemphilo lizinkosi ithi leli tiko lisalungiselela sigaba sesibili salolu hlelo njengoba kudzingeka bocwephesha nemithi lefanele. Indvuna ithi litiko selisemaphethelweni nemsebenzi wekucasha dokotela longcwephesha kutematsambo lotawuba sesibhedlela lesikhulu sahulumende eMbabane. Indvuna ithi ngesigaba lesingaba tinyanga letimbili kuya kuleto letintsatfu esibhedlela lesikhulu sahulumende eMbabane kutawuba neluhlelo lolucondzile lokwelapha bantfu labadzinga lusito lwetemphilo lwematsambo. Indvuna iphindze yacela sive lesidzinga lolusito ukuthi sibeketele sitawatiswa ngelilanga lolutawuchutjwa ngaso sigaba sesibili salolu hlelo. Indvuna ibese ibonga kubanjiswa kwaleli tiko bodokotela netisebenti tetemphilo labachamuka etibhedlela leti timele njengoba lusito lwetemphilo lolufanele lumgcoka entuthukweni yelive laseSwatini. Etindzabeni yeSwatini TV kubika Samkelsuye Khoza seMbabane.
Inhlangano yakaPhilani Maswati seyivakashele umphakathi wakuMantshonga kaDvokolwakho kuya kude etfula esikhulwini lesesikhona Shifu Matubane Makagula. Sihlalo waphilani Maswati Lutfo Dlamini utsite njengoba lelikhaya labogogo likhonde kulomphakathi kuhle kwekuthi batetfule phindze ke bagcinise ubudlelwane lobacala esikhulwini lesendlula Shifu Malamkela Makagula.
Uma semukela inhlangano yakaBhilani Maswati isikhulu sakuManjonga Matubane Makagula sivakalise kujabula ngesento saBhilani Maswati.
Usibongele inkosi yami umhlekazi inkosi yami. Sesisho ukuthi le nhlangano sesithe kulokunyenti kona nathi. Ukuthi nje nathi siyabonga nje nami ukuthi ngifikele kulesibusiso ukuthi indzawo ibe lana yekugcina abantu abadala. Ngicabanga ukuthi nangokuliso itaba khona ngala besikadolwa. Ngiloko nje malangeni ukuthi awu mina inkosi yami ngiyabongela kakhulu. Ngiyayimukela ngenhliziyo yami bephelele ngiyabonga nakuwe makosi ukuthi inkosi yami afike kuloba nami ngidawuhambe nginyathelwe itabane la kwenda lokuhle ukuthi sibone ukuthi siyakuphi phambili.
Uhlelo waBhilani Maswati Lutfo Dlamini utsite banguleli nhlangano sebata ukhona kuchubeka kahle netinhlelo takaBhilani njengoba sebemukelekile esikhulwini lesesikhona emphakathi wakuManjonga.
Sitala sihlangano yakaBhilani nakethu kutotethula kubabe Makagula lomusha ngoba nasikhondela lo msebenzi sawukhondela kuyise nekuthi ke sibike lokuthi sekunale tinguquko njalo ukubonile lapha sinemadamu ekunisela ukuthi naye umuntu omdala akabuye abambisane nathi sisebenze kanye kanye nesive sakhe nalaba bangephandle labatawubuya la ade losivele indlovu yemhlaba yathi asakheli nje bakadolwa usakhela live lonke. Kwesibili ke ngicabanga ukuthi naye sinomnika bulunga bakaBhilani njengalokho neyise bekalunga lakaBhilani besilethe lo ukuthi awubabe sesifike lesikhathi ujoyine nawo belunga sitokwathi sisebenza nelunga inkosi sithume kulelinye ilunga.
Dlamini uthi lobudlelwane lesebabakhe nalomphakathi butawuba nemthelela lomuhle emisebentini lesetawukwentiwa kaBhilani kufake igazi elidamu lemanti lelitawuba lusito kulabo labangafisa kulimela kutsengisa. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV ngingibongosi Makagula kuManjonga.
Kolomuhle sitawubuyela endzabeni lesicale ngayo tindzaba titfombe tayo sesititfolile silo semhlaba sesifikile edolobheni eNew York Heavenly Melika lapho sitawungenela khona umhlangano webaholi bemave inhlangano yakamhlaba silo sisingetfwe inkhosikati Makela Mahlangu kulolu hambo.
Silo semhlaba sifike eNew York Heavenly Melika singethwe inkhosikati Makela Mahlangu. Kunyathela kwayo ke imbube Melika kuvele kwaletha wona emathonzi emvula. Imbube emhlabana ifika lapha eMelika yemungulwe ngilabakhulu embusweni welive leMelika nasenhlanganweni yakamhlaba. Loncuselele Eswatini Heavenly Melika His Excellency Kennedy Groning naloncuselele Eswatini enhlanganweni yakamhlaba His Excellency Thami Dlamini. Ingwenyama ikuleli leMelika kutawungenela umhlangano webaholi bemava kamhlaba wema-70 nesiphohlongo. Baholi bemave babheke ukuthi badzingitse baphindze futhi babukete kusebenta nokufezeka kwemgomo wa 2030 pheceleti Agenda 2030. Lothi emave akalethe aphindze futhi afeze emaphuzu entuthuko leKonsile. Namaphuzu entuthuko leKonsile asukuyiswa ngeminyaka wa 2015 ngenyanga yeNyoni. Umhlangano webaholi bemave enhlangano yakamhlaba utawuvulwa ngalesibili mhla til-14 lapho khona abaholi batawukwethula tinkulumo. Kanti ke nelibhubezi libhekekile ukuthi libhodle khona lapha kamhlaba. Kulolu hambo ingwenyama isingethwe ngumfana Nkosi Bheko kwakhe, umfana Nkosi Lindiwe, Shifu Jozane, indvuna yetangephandle nekubambisana lamanye emave, indvuna yetekuhlela umnotfo, indvuna yetemphilo, kunye nendvuna temabhizinisi netekutsengiselana kubala labambalwa. Ekubeni live leSwatini ligubhe iminyaka lengama-50
Ibandla letelukhetfo nemingcele Elections and Boundaries Commission bathi sasive
ukuhalalisela ingwenyama nelive egubheni lomkhosi. Etindzabeni kubika Pholile Maziya eNew York, America.
Kutemidlalo baqeqeshile abahlukahlukene bemaqembu ladlala ngaphansi kwePremier League babenemivo lehlukahlukene ngendlela yamaqembu abo laqale ngayo imidlalo yokuqala yeleague eminyaka wa-2023-2024. Kanti-ke labaqeqeshi bafaka ekhathi inyanga yezizwe hlophe weManzini Wanderers, Meki Mwase weNsingizini Hotspurs, Caleb Ngwenya weMbabane Swallows kanye naMthunzi Gininza. Siyatiphetsa tindzaba lomhla ekuseni kwalomhla sibahlo lemakethe sidabuya sicubeke nelihlelo.
Ibandla letelukhetfo nemingcele Elections and Boundaries Commission bathi sasive kutsi kuvota ngalokukhetsekile special voting kutawuba mhla tingemashumi 26 kuLesetulu 26 September 2023. Kanti lukhetfo lolukhulu lona lutawubanjwa mhla tingemashumi 29 kuLesetulu 29 September 2023. Ngete ngasala nasakha live letfu.
Tifumvota namhla esomfeni betingakacandzani nathi. Hawu mngani, usho ngani? Bekukhulunywa befana kuphela, buka nje bekukhulunywa ngekusoka. Ushiyekile impela mnganami. Angayiva kahle lenzaba.
Phela ngekusoka bobhuti, nanathi bayazivikela kumdlavuza wemlomo wesibeletho. Futhi kusoka kuyingcenye yetindlela tekuvikela i-HIV even. Kanti-ke naye ebhuti masekasokile, uyativikela kumdlavuza wemvuku.
Uyabona mngani ngishiyeke mbamba. Uyabona babuya kutofundisa betempilo, ngitolalela.
Lo mlayeto ulethelwa litiko letempilo. Kuva kabandi, shayela 2030.
Welcome back. Savusela nalo sandza kusivulela bezivetele ukuthi sita besikhuluma ngendzaba ye-e-visa dokumenta ukuthi imvona yetiko latasekhaya ivekeni liphelile yasukumisa ngokusemthethweni lolu uhlelo lolu litiko ke libambisene nelitiko laka ICT i-Royal Science and Technology Park maba launcha le-electronic visa. Kanti the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation kanye ne-Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs will be prominent players in the success of this program. This project is in line with His Majesty's vision for the country to achieve first world status, as also the government's strategy to improve the ease of doing business in Eswatini. I'm joined by Sandile Mazubugos, the acting chief communications officer khona etiko letasekhaya ukuchazela njengabantu njengawo lo msebenzi lomqokana kangaka. Sekuvusela Mazibuko siyabonga ukuthi ube nathi lomhla ekseni ngumsebenzi omuhle lona lesukunyiswe ngilo litiko evikeni eliphelile. Kuma nje kusineta nje background nje ukuthi le project lena niqala kanjani ngitiphi futhi lezafu lesitende ukuthi sifike la sikhona khona.
Siyabonga msakati sivusele nabalaleli emakhaya. Lona umsebenzi lomkhulu kakhulu live like labane challenge ngamuva ekuthenini uma ngabe umuntu wa-applyela because kufaka ikhathi electronic application ye-permit kuphinde futhi kufaka ikhathi electronic application ye-visa. So nyalo ukhanzela ukuthi lengaphandle consulate services ukhanzela ukuthi mancane lamave ukhanzela ukuthi kunemuntu ufuna kuda eSwatini kodwa unale nginga yokuthi manje kude le consulate noma i-embassy la ngada ufika apply khona. So sekwendeke lokho loyo abe nebulukhuni boku-applyela kubidela ukusivele azame lokuthi ede even ngibuya ngalana mhlambe kuma permit uma u-applyela i-permit esikhatsini lesinyenti ubidela ukusivele ude physically even uto apply. So sitseke silitiko sihledi phasi sibuka sabona lokuthi mhlawumbe ngoba enaku phela nahulumende sosemkhankasweni we-IGAV ukuthi nathi sisale sijoyina le bandwagon ye-IGAV. So ngiloko lokwenda ukuthi mhlawumbe kutakwenda nekwenda ibhizinisi eSwatini kube melula kanjalo futhi nalabavakashela eSwatini bavakashe melula. So ngikho lokwenda ukuthi mhlawumbe litiko nalo ligcine litifaka ekhathi ukuthi lende labo labafisile ukuthi bede badovula amabhizinisi eveni bede badovula melula kanjalo futhi nalabafisile ukuvakashela live laseSwatini nabo futhi bede badovakasha ngaphandle kwedingakhe.
I think sisibonile babe mazibuko ukuthi vele technology vele sengiyona vele ihamba embili le tikhathi tanyana ngifuna nje solo sigcile kakhulu nje kulama benefits mhlawumbe nje nasibuka i-efficiency nasibuka indzaba the-efficiency kuba nayo le e-visa compared to traditional visa applications ngaba vele mhlawumbe ungazivetela uthini nje ukuthi nasibuka nje mhlawumbe le i-efficiency.
Siyabonga kuthenza lelo hlangothi empeleni i-visa nyalo kutawukwenda ukuthi kube malula kulofuna kuvakasha ikakhulukazi maka applyela i-visa because utawu apply asekhaya apply online. So lokho kwenda lokho ukuthi ungabi ne-stress kwesibili ke kwenda lokho ukuthi futhi kukhule umnotho njoba baningi abantu laba ngema-tourists labafise kuvakasha bavakashele kuleli lakithi. Utawukhumbula sisasuka nje emkhosini wemhlanga so ke ama-tourists bekamaningi la bekakhona afise kutobona lo mgidvo. So ukhanza ukuthi lama applications sengiyo la enda lokho ukuthi mhlambe babe nebulukhuni lokuthi bede batovakasha. So lokho kutawukhangathi ivakashi letinenge mhlambe sengiya ngale kuma permit lokho kutawusisita ekutheni sende ibhizinisi emelula osomabhizinisi labakhulu labafuna kutotshala eveni lakithi lakangwane nabo sebatawuvele bangene online ba-apply. Lokunye ke sili-office thina kutawusisita ngoba besinale nkinga ye-office space. So ukhanza ukuthi we have these files ma-file lama la data back bo 1990 so sesitele office space. So if sihamba sithi digital so konke ke nyalo kusetasisita ukuthi asanawudzinga ukuthi sibe ne-office space ukuze ukuthi sikhone mhlambe ukuthi sigcine emafayila alabo batawuvula emabhizinisi. Lokunye msakadi ke ngiloko ukuthi nalapha ke officeini because uma uapplyele le permit ukhanzela ukuthi le turnaround time yinze kanti nyalo sekutawusita loku-improve lokho because nyalo sekutaba sikhathi lesifishane kakhulu ukuthi umuntu akhona kushesha athole a-permit kanti itolo bukhanza ukuthi lama-processes mathe and nale human inefficiency ke nayo la ekhathi ukhanza ukuthi umuntu ufikile i-application wayi-receive but asayi-process itofika ekugcineni. So uyafika applicant utolandzelela ukhanza ukuthi lihledi lana solo alikahambi kuhamba tonke letigaba letinye letehlukene. So konke lokho mhlambe nalokunye ke lesikubonako letasisita kuko ngiloko ukuthi lamaphepha ethu bayawafoja so bawafoja kakhulu nekwethemba ke ukuthi nyalo mase sisebenzisa lolu hlangothi lolu kutawuncipha kakhulu lokufoja lama documents ethu.
So lokufota nje kwalama documents ngabe vele mhlambe bese kunilimata kanganani nje nelitiko nje ezinisende emsebenzweni?
Kusilimata kakhulu msakati ngoba phela ku-applyela nje kokucala ufaka imali. So umuntu kumasafoje emaphepha ethu lokusho ukuthi sohleti eveni ngalokho ngekho umthetho akakayifaki nale mali because phela lokho kwenda ukuthi umuntu azithele njalo. Kwesibili ke nanathi nje silive the credibility of a country, because we have got labanye bomakhalwane bethu uma labantu sekunale influx yalaba bekuhamba ukhanza lokho ukuthi sebetalana nje inhloso yabo kahle kahle ukuthi bendlule mhlambe baye bomakhelwane, so sebasebenzisa sine njengendlela abasebenza lamaphepha lafotshiwe. So kwenda ukuthi nabo makhelwane bethu bangasithotela ukuthi ingabe laba kahle kahle vele sibahlolisise kahle yini, so kufuna ke kwenda lobudlelwane ukuthi bungabi ngilobuhle.
So bekuba khona vele mhlambe tikhalele bendithola mhlambe ke ama tourists nabo somabhiziness bafuna vele le platform le yale e-visa nize nje nisukumise vele ngalokusemthethweni, kube khona yini mhlambe labantu bhalele mhlambe nento ukuthi siyacela Eswatini ukuthi inibe nayo le e-visa?
No, betikhona ticelo ukhanza ukuthi nje kukhuluma bona bosomabhizinisi baticelela lokuthi uyati mhlambe lokhu kutawusendela melula ku-applyela ema-permit noma mhlambe lokhu ukuthi nje sifike eveni. Kanti ke nanathi silive nje sifuna kubamba lizinga lemhlaba because labaningi vele emhlabeni sebasebenzisa yona le e-visa ne-e-permit.
Yeah, so bekuthatha isikhathi esinganani nje mawusebenzisa le amaphepha ukuthi ibe approved compared to lena le taba electronic manje ingabe nje lo mehluko obanganani ita approve emva kwesikhathi esinganani lena e-visa?
Lokusho ukuthi lana uma u-applyela nje ngidawubekisa enzabeni ye-permit kunama stakeholders la involved, because ithi mayifika lapha kithi bese siyayindlulisa thina siyisa emaphoyiseni, nakhona emaphoyiseni ihamba imigamo lemibili, kunale intelligence bese kuba nalalabanye. So nakhona lapho ufuna ukuthi nabo batenetise ngaphambi kwaloko ngoba kushiyana nalihlobo lale permit lokuthi permit yinye ngidawubekisa nje ku permit ye-70. So ithi mayisuka ke lemaphoyiseni bese iphindze futhi ihamba yetiko le-70 lakalepha. So nakhona batenetise ukuthi lo muntu nje utofuna kusebenta lana kahle kahle vele is it a critical skill yini noma utothatha imisebenzi yemaswati. So that process ukhanza ukuthi uma isheshile beyithatha inyanga, okusho ukuthi vele ukhanza ukuthi ithatha liqi, so kuya etinyangeni letimbili. So lokho ke bekukhanza ukuthi sekukwenta ukuthi mhlawumbe lama applicant abese etolandzelela le officeini ukwenza ukuthi nathi mhlambe side indlela lelula. So ike nje ne cabinet yasibita yatofuna ukuthi kuva ukuthi litiko letekhaya yini itaba letendako ukuthi litawu mhlambe lisheshise le process yoku-issue lama permit. Kanzi ngalana ke kuvisa i-visa nayo umuntu uya-applyela la kithi ukhanza ukuthi kutale passport italana kufuna ayikhurishe ifike la eveni lo sihlobo sakhe lesimhostako kufuna bese ke sona siyama-applyela ke sithi ke masiyisusa ke thina sesiyisa ke emaphoyiseni for vetting. Nakhona kuhamba letinkoni letimbili lemaphoyiseni ukwenza ukuthi kuyathatha a week to 2 weeks so lokusavetha bese kuyabuya ke akusho ukuthi mase bamvethile lena mhlambe kwatholakala ukahle ukuthi mhlambe sesitamvumela yini nathi kufanele siphinza futhi sibuke letinye tinkoni. So lokusho ukuthi nje bekukhanza ukuthi ithatha about 2 weeks kuya ku3 nakhona but nyalo with the system sinakwethemba lokuthi the process, the turnaround time will be very, very, very short because still we have ikakhulukazi ngale kula stakeholders, we still have them, they will play their role, but nyalo kutawuhamba concurrently ukuthi nalona a process lokufaka yena uma ngabe nje amaphoyisa enda kwawo nalebha ngalotakwenda kwakhe mhlambe nelitiko letemfundvo nalo litawudlala inzima tsite nawo. So konke sitakwenda nje kanye nyalo kwanza kusesesheshe siyafinyela lesikhathi.
Nje mazibuka ukuthi ingabe kungaba ngitiphi itimvu letingenda ukuthi umuntu angabe approved mhlambe ingapproveki i-visa yakhe.
Okay, timbadlwana kungaba kungafaki onke lama requirements. So uma ungafaki letinto esisiyaticela thina so vele angeke sikwati ukuthi i-application yakho inga-approveki. kulesinye isikhathi ke ukhanza naloko ukuthi awukakasebenzisi indlela etifanele noma ke lawo maphepha lo wafakile akasiyo la authentic because nawo ayavethwa njengoba ngishilo nje ukuthi atawuhamba through the whole processes. So naloko kutakwenda lokho ukuthi mhlambe iapplication yakho ingaphumelela.
So ngifuna ukubuta nangala mave nje lesivumelekile ukuthi mhlambe you can travel to with le visa lena ukuthi mhlambe wena wasineta nje shomise ukuthi mangakhi ngimaphi futhi lamave lawo.
Emave msakati maningi because kunalanga ala Africa kuphindze futhi kunalanga la ngesheya. So lana nje eAfrica sinabo Nigeria sibe nabo DRC sibe nabo Senegal mhlambe sengibala nje ngesheya kuna the Asians bo India bo Pakistan bo Bangladesh mhlambe sibuye ke nase America so phose nje bo Germany ngiwo onke lawo mavelawo lephose mangabe apply lana kufuneka le visa.
Okay, so ngitawucala nini kusebenza I think sisibonile nje minister ayethula officially last week, but when is it going live? Kukhona imvele mhlambe confirmation date lesenayo nelitiko.
Oh yes, i-date sisayibukile besibuke nje kusangaphelo November. Yes, angaphelo November kufune sesihamba sesi-live. Kukhona nje lokuncane lesisakulungisa in terms of i-payment gateways safuna kwenda letivumelwano because umuntu ufuna abhadale nje akhona lena, so salungisa ke le ndlela yokukoleka le mali ukuthi i-Minister of Finance itawuyikole kanjani, but nje masinyane sidabe sinemhlangano sokuresolve lokho, so sibheke kusangapheli November sibe sesihamba live.
Okay, njengoba I think solo sikhuluma nje ngayenza ba ye technology bemasibuko lokuthi vele tebuchwepheshe vele ngitona sesithi sebenzisa kule tikhathi tamanje, and ngibonile ukuthi nisebenzisene ne-Ministry of ICT, RSTP na Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Ngabe vele mhlambe nzima yini nje la matiko lawo latawudlala kulomsebenzi omkhulu lo?
I-RSTP msakati ngiyona phose i-hoster ma IT related issues, so nanyalo nje thina le server yethu ikhona khona le RSTP so ke vele singibona basisite kakhulu nje kuleti tebuchwepheshe. Ilitiko letangaphandle foreign affairs kunaloko ukuthi kunalama consulate services lale ngaphandle, so siyakhona ukuthi sichumane nabo ngobe itolo bokhanza ukuthi la kude khona the embassies labantu abakhona ekusitakala kahle, so ufuna usibese ke thina siyachumana nabo ukuthi ngikuphe tudeni lapho angasitakala khona, so nyalo ke batakhona nabo kusisita lokuthi basatisele emave lokuthi wo i-service yethu siyatholakala online, so bangasahlupheki babe bafuna ukuthi bangahamba bayo-apply la kuphi nakuphi phose ngathi ngilo.
Okay, so mhlawumbe sesicela nje kubuda nje baba mazibuka ukuthi vele siyaplaya kuphi kahle ithini le website, khona ni website mhlawumbe lesevele seyikhona lapho sive semaswati singa-applyela khona masifuna le e-visa.
Oh yes, ikhona iwebsite etiko latasekhaya, kodwa ke ngicabanga ukuthi sitawuphinza futhi siyivete kahle ngokuchumana na communications welitiko.
Okay, no kuyavakala sibonga kakhulu mazibuka mbukele South vele ukuthi le na project will go live kungakapheli nje yona inyanga yeLweti ngekuveta kwakhe mazibuko kulomnyaka lo sithi udakhumula ukuthi besikhuluma ngenzaba lapha le yathula nguMinister of Home Affairs inzaba ye-electronic visa. The second project stawube sichubene hlelo.
Bongosi egameni lelibandla letelukhetho nemingcele tinkundla ngingusihlalo walo libandla sihlanganyela nesive malangeni lamahle kuhalalisela ingwenyama inkosi yethu inkosi Mswati wesithathu minyakeni lamashumi lasihlanu nakuhlanu kanye nelive longana kundiphethe wethu ukuthi lo lingana nabo netinsuku tengwenyama letingu 55 nananathi sisive seMaswati sina leminyaka ilengu 55 sesikhululekile ngandiphethe. Siyabonga ke bongosi sisahalalisele emakhosi ethu nelive ukuthi nebayitolo lekungibona lesithi te basebenta lelive makhosi ayitolo nesive seMaswati sonke sayitolo ngoba lokhu lesesifike lamhla siyasakukhanza sakuhala lesikuhalaliselako ngilokuchamuka kibo lekubita ke ukuthi ke nathi siMaswati njengekukhonjwa indlela amakhosi Nkosi yelive sichubekeni silibeke live libe ngiloko lekungona lesikukhanzile nathi nalokungcono Maswati silibandla lelikhetho nemingcele sisahalalisele emakhosi nelive ngandiphethe sijinga siphindze futhi siwabongele emakhosi ngemsebenzi losedulo eveni welikhetho sisitengcile tigaba tokuqala lebesikito nyalo ke sekuseleke sigaba lesesisedulu ke lokungisona sona ke lesisitawu siniketa iParliament yethu isinikete futhi emabandla enkundla lokuba ubuchopho ke lobakhiwa induna tetinkundla lokungibona bosihlalo bese ke nabobuchopho bemiphakathi benkundla labakha lobuchopho lelibandla lenkundla lekungilona lelisebenzisana kanye neParliament nahulumende weive leMaswati wonkana bongosi emalanga umuntu akandlulise lokuthi umhla ka-26 we-special voting bese ulandzela ke umhla ka-29 September walolukhetho lelukhulu lukhetho lwesibili lesongilona loluyi-final ngalawo magama amalangeni sikhutha lwandle sibongele live bongosi bayethe wena waphakathi wena ungangezindaba bongosi.
It's not by the efforts of one, but by the combined efforts of many. You're going to reach people that nobody else can reach. I come and light a fire and watch it burn. God's not finished with Africa. In the divine atmosphere of heaven, the Lord will forge in you that which He wants you to do. And the grace to carry the mantle will be upon your life. And God has raised you up for this hour. Better than that, Captain. Come on.
I've got the Holy Ghost. I've got the Holy Ghost and fire. Fill me with the Holy
Right. right, welcome back. It's 5 minutes before 7 o'clock. So let's talk about I think Jesse in promos fee. So I think Maswati so on the 23rd and 24th of September kutabe kutayena Dr. Rodney Brown in the country lapho tobamba khona tinkonzo lamalanga lamabili. So it's going to be massive, it's going to be amazing. So sixoxisana nabo nje belibandla le Holy Life bachazela nje ngawo lo msebenzi lutabe kuwendeka. I think what's interesting also indaba yokuthi utabe aniketa abafundi scholarships. So yeah, we can't wait for that one ngoba indaba yama scholarships nje indaba vele balekile bafundi bakulele bafisa ukuthi nababaye kulamanye amave bayichubekisela ifundo tabo. So it is the 23rd and 24th of September.
Free entrance, by the way.
Free entrance,
Everyone's
yes.
allowed to go in there and enjoy Guba in his presence, not just the doctor, but in his presence, speaking about the Lord Almighty, because everything else, the entertainment aspect of things, yes, it's going to be there. Also, the honor of being next to Dr. Rodney Howard Brown, but I think it's quite notable to note, I would say, only 5 days left.
Only 5
it's the
days
18th
left,
today.
yes.
This event starts on the 23rd, Emavuso Sports Exhibition Center. Everyone is excited about it. We're excited to see Banvana Maswati Batawala scholarship at Campo Funza Eveni Lase Meliga. It's going to be very beautiful. Dr. Rodney Howard Brown is a very respected and honorable figure in the realm of education, religion, as well as faith, entrepreneurship, education. He's an all-rounder. He's an all-rounder. What an honor for him to choose Eswatini as part of, the 13 African countries that are with the other 20 individuals that are Hambanab.
Yeah, still on that space. So we recorded Apostle Abednego Nchangase just on the latest developments regarding interby transport, because there'll also be free transport as well. So we'll play that clip a bit later on the show after 7. Let's take a break. Let's be Dema International.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at international news. A week after a wall of water rushed through the Libyan coastal city of Derna, sweeping thousands to their deaths, the focus turned on Sunday to caring for survivors of the disaster.
Their collapse led to a national tragedy. Now Libya's Attorney General is investigating potential negligence over the 2 dams that failed amid flooding, sending a wall of water crashing through Derna.
The investigation includes the maintenance funds that were paid to maintain the 2 dams and minimize the effects of damage from floods and heavy rainfall. What we can say now is that we will investigate local authorities as well as consecutive governments for negligence.
A report from Libya's state-run audit agency in 2021 found that the 2 dams built in the 1970s had not been maintained, despite more than $2 million in funds that were allocated for that very purpose in 2012 and 2013. At that time, Libya was already descending into chaos. It's now divided between two rival governments, one based in the west in Tripoli and one in the east, which includes Derna and is controlled by General Khalifa Haftar. But the Attorney General officially has jurisdiction over the entire country, and calls to investigate came from both sides. For many Libyans, the tragedy has led to national solidarity.
The rulers are unjust. They are thieves in plain sight. Everyone knows it. What happened in Derna led to people uniting against its pain and wounds.
All the cities in the west and the south answered the call for their people in the east.
Despite the Attorney General's promise for accountability, analysts say the investigation will be difficult, since it could implicate high-ranking leaders from both sides, none of whom are likely to accept responsibility.
Remote villages in Morocco's Atlas Mountains were among the areas hit hardest by the earthquake that struck Morocco last week. Traditional mud brick houses, which were ill-suited to withstand the strong tremors, cracked or collapsed.
A rare moment of joy for some in Tulkin village as another vehicle arrives with supplies for grateful residents.
We've brought aid, including blankets, so that people don't get cold, and we've brought clothing for children.
One old widow wants us to see more of the damage. The elderly were particularly at risk in the earthquake, often lacking the reflexes or strength to escape on their own.
I was here watching TV, and when the earthquake hit, I tried to leave, but I couldn't open the door. If the neighbors hadn't come and opened it from the outside, I would have been stuck and probably died. As you see, the whole house has cracks throughout, and there's nothing left, and there's no one to help me.
State aid until now has been completely absent. Locals have picked up the slack. Those worst off have put together makeshift tents with volunteers pitching in.
We're giving out tents to people so they have somewhere to live. They have nothing left.
We go deeper into the village. At this point of mud brick buildings, almost nothing remains.
We got out through here. 4 adults and 4 children, my wife with a toddler and myself. We dug this hole using an axe. This is where we got out, the adults and the kids. I was the last to get out.
Out into another challenge. The cold nights and approaching winter.
We're afraid of the rain, of the snow. When it snows here, it can reach up to a meter 20 high. It's hard to abandon your roots and your home village. I was born here. I grew up here. I went to school here.
Ultimately, Tulkin is just one of hundreds of villages across the Atlas Mountains in similar circumstances, both in terms of destruction and its reliance on volunteers for aid, and with its residents wondering just when and how they'll be able to rebuild their homes.
South Sudanese people are fleeing Sudan's war for their home country, and the United Nations and analysts say the move could trigger intercommunal violence and endanger the country's transition to democracy.
At the river port in Renk, South Sudan, returnees fleeing fighting in Sudan prepared to board boats to transport them south on the White Nile to the city of Malakal. Having fled intercommunal violence in South Sudan years ago, Sarah Reith, along with her children, has been forced back to Upper Nile State because of Sudan's conflict, which started in April. Reith talked to VOA about starting over in her hometown.
For me, I don't know what I'm going to be capable of doing to earn a living, so I will do whatever I can. I don't have any resources to start up a business either. Nonetheless, I won't be going back to Sudan.
Since the start of the war, more than 200,000 people have fled Sudan for South Sudan, mostly through Renk. The South Sudanese government is doing all it can to move them away from the border and prevent a build-up in Renk of people in need of humanitarian assistance. They have been relocated on these cramped boats to areas they left years ago, and in many cases have only tenuous connections to. Despite this, it's better than staying in Sudan, says returnee Rebecca Deng.
The fighting was intense. I mean, it was a huge problem. People there with no food for 5 days. A lot of murders, and people couldn't leave their homes. Gunshots every day, day and night.
Analysts say the influx of returnees is likely to cause major problems for South Sudan's transition to democracy, with the country's first elections planned for next year.
For many years, we had many South Sudanese population that had fled to the north who are now returning back, and they're returning back to a country that is not ready to receive them. So we have a lot of humanitarian crisis, and it raises a question. Should we be thinking about elections at a time of such a severe humanitarian catastrophe? That situation could also affect the long-term stability and security of South Sudan.
He added that politicians should not use the conflict as an excuse to delay elections, however. Salem Terese Demise of the South Africa-based Institute for Security Studies said that South Sudan returnees could clash with members of other ethnic groups in the areas they relocate to.
And the humanitarian responses so far are not really structured in a way that really addresses the needs of the returnees. Therefore, this situation might lead to communal violence. And this communal violence has been cited as one of the major challenges of the implementation of the peace process itself.
Violence among the returnees' different ethnic groups has already broken out in both Renk and Malakal.
German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock met with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Friday in Washington. Ukraine's request for long-range missiles for its counteroffensive against Russia was on the agenda.
After 18 months of almost daily shelling by Russia on Ukrainian civilians, Ukraine is increasingly firing drones over the border into Russia and is asking its allies for longer-range missiles to defend itself. The issue of Ukraine defending itself with weapons supplied by NATO is one of the issues Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed with visiting German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock. Blinken said anything Ukraine has asked for is under review and added,
when it comes to how Ukrainians use these systems, the targeting decisions are theirs. They're not ours. And they have to make judgments about what can be most effective in working to regain their full sovereignty, their territorial integrity.
Baerbock was more cautious.
We are concerned with strengthening Ukraine's self-defense, and that is why we told the Ukrainian armed forces from the very beginning that our arms supply is limited to defending the national territory within Ukraine.
Experts told VOA that overall, the closeness of Germany and the U.S. on Ukraine is remarkable.
I think the real and big and important story is that the unity is notably strong after 18 months of conflict. It's fair to say that victory is not yet in sight for Ukraine, so it's a long conflict, and it's going to be difficult to maintain in the future. I think that that's clear, but the arc of the last 18 months is a very substantial agreement among NATO member states.
Another expert agreed that the unity is holding, but pointed out that some members of Congress, mostly Republicans, have expressed concern that European countries need to do more to support Ukraine.
Obviously, we're going into an election year. There's going to be loud voices in Congress and elsewhere saying, you know, we need this money in Kentucky and not in Kyiv.
On Capitol Hill, VOA asked Republican House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCaul if he believes Congress will keep funding Ukraine as requested by the Biden administration.
I think we should have given them weapons faster. It delayed the counteroffensive. They don't have all the equipment they need. They have no air cover, and they're clearing mines by hand at nighttime. So I think we need to do more to get those weapons in. When we do, we see they can actually win and beat the Russians. So that's in our. But I'm very optimistic we're going to get that passed.
The German foreign minister also went to Texas during this trip, meeting with Republican Governor Greg Abbott and Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner. likely pointing out that Germany is now the second largest contributor of military aid to Ukraine, and that German cities and towns have taken in more than 1 million Ukrainian refugees.
President Joe Biden says he's focused on the things that American people want and not political theater after the House of Representatives opened an impeachment inquiry into allegations that he benefited from his son Hunter's foreign business dealings.
U.S. President Joe Biden attended church in his home state of Delaware just days after Republicans in the House of Representatives opened an impeachment inquiry citing an alleged pattern of corruption. The White House calls it a political stunt. This past week, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy addressed the media outside his office at the United States Capitol.
House Republicans have uncovered serious and credible allegations into President Biden's conduct. Taken together, these allegations paint a picture of a culture of corruption.
McCarthy went on to describe the allegations as an abuse of power, obstruction, and corruption that warrant further investigation by the House of Representatives. Democrats say this is pandering partisan politics at its worst.
The White House has cooperated, and I believe the White House will continue to cooperate because there is nothing to hide. There is no facts in the record to suggest that President Biden engaged in wrongdoing. There are no facts on the record to suggest that President Biden engaged in impeachable offenses. There are no facts on the record to suggest that President Biden broke the law in any way, shape, or form. This is an illegitimate impeachment inquiry.
Republicans say they want more information related to the allegations.
The facts are everywhere. There are text messages, there are emails, there are witnesses, there are whistleblowers, there are meetings, there are phone calls, there are dinners, and you can't say, hey, there's a little bit of smoke, we're not going to follow the fire.
Former President Donald Trump, the current Republican frontrunner for the presidency, himself facing more than 40 felony counts in multiple court cases, says he supports a government shutdown if House Republicans don't get what he called a fair deal on a short-term spending bill. The details of such a fair deal remain unclear. Biden and McCarthy's futures are intertwined in this impeachment inquiry. After issuing one, the full House votes on whether the president should be impeached, triggering a trial in the Senate if the vote is yes. Meanwhile, the House has just a handful of working days in session to pass a short-term continuing resolution or risk a government shutdown. Some conservative Republicans are demanding spending cuts lower than what Speaker McCarthy agreed to in a budget deal with Biden earlier this year.
British comedian and actor Russell Brand has been accused of rape, sexual assault, and emotional abuse during a 7-year period, according to the results of a media investigation published on Saturday.
Saturday, British actor and social media influencer Russell Brand was accused of rape and sexual assault by 4 women. They said the events took place between 2006 and 2013 at the height of his fame. The allegations were made in a joint investigation by 3 British media outlets, The Sunday Times, The Times and Channel 4 Dispatches. The day before the reports were published, Brand released a video on his social media platform denying the accusations.
But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream. I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual.
According to the media findings, 1 woman alleged she had been raped, while 3 others accused him of sexual assault. One of the women also said he had been physically and emotionally abusive. Brand rose to prominence in the early 2000s as a stand-up comedian in the UK before making the jump to Hollywood, appearing in films such as Forgetting Sarah Marshall in 2008. He was also known as US pop star Katy Perry's husband from 2010 to 2012. In recent years, he transformed himself into a political commentator and influencer. He suggested the reports were part of a coordinated attack designed to discredit him because of his views.
Spain's former soccer boss Luis Rubiales denied in a preliminary court hearing on Friday allegations of sexual assault and coercion filed by soccer player Yanni Hermoso over an alleged non-consensual kiss. The prosecutor leading the case said the prosecutor has also requested a restraining order against Rubiales so he cannot get within 500 yards of Hermoso.
Rubiales walked into a Madrid courthouse Friday to answer charges of alleged sexual assault. The accusations against the former head of Spain's Football Federation are centered on a moment following the World Cup victory by the country's women's team in August that was caught on video. Rubiales grabs player Jenny Hermoso by the head and forcibly kisses her on the lips. In the face of outrage in Spain and across the globe, Rubiales initially refused to step down, lashing out at what he called false feminism. But as pressure mounted, FIFA said it was suspending Rubiales for 90 days, and he finally bowed to the pressure this past Sunday, announcing his resignation.
Yes, I'm going to do. I'm going to, yes, because I cannot continue my work.
In spite of stepping down, Rubiales has remained defiant, claiming he did nothing wrong, saying in a statement on social media that he would defend his innocence. The scandal has rocked not only Spanish society, but was a subject of debate this week at the European Parliament.
The scandal of the non-consensual kiss has overshadowed the victory of those female football players. No means no.
In addition to a charge of sexual assault, Rubiales also faces accusations of coercion. That's because Jenny Hermoso, who has made clear that the kiss was not consensual, alleges that Rubiales pressured her to say otherwise and to speak out in his defense after the initial public outcry. Under a sexual consent law passed in Spain last year, Rubiales could face a fine or a prison sentence of up to 4 years if he's found guilty.
Farmers say extreme temperatures caused a huge drop in the output of olive oil in Spain, the world's largest producer, triggering a big jump in world olive oil prices.
It's the worst drought Spanish farmers have experienced in their lifetime, combined with deadly heat waves and wildfires across Europe. Climate change is affecting the weather, and not in a good way, scientists and leaders worldwide say.
And we saw the chaos and carnage of extreme weather from Slovenia to Bulgaria and right across our union. This is the reality of a boiling planet.
This extreme weather is disrupting olive oil production in Spain, the world's largest producer, which provides about half of the world's supply. The country combines traditional olive growing methods with modern innovation, resulting in high-quality oils that are consumed worldwide. Last year was Spain's hottest year on record, and the past 2 harvests have been half of those of previous years. The drought has worried producers who have little hope next year's harvest will be any better. The price of Spanish olive oil has doubled in the past 2 years due to a supply shortage.
And this is the reality, which means low production, the demand still is strong, and the prices are going up.
The global demand for Spanish olive oil is increasing annually as more people recognize its health benefits. But olive trees require water, and the drought has sparked a debate on who should have priority for the precious and increasingly scarce resource.
In Spain, right now, we have a big demand of water. The drought is extreme. In olive oil, we need water. And for us, as farmers, it's a shame to see the golf courses.
The World Meteorological Organization says the planet is far from meeting its climate goals, and global response is falling far short. Here in Spain, Eduard Pons and other farmers say the debate on water use needs to be expanded to protect the nation's diminishing water resources.
New York City has been a popular, albeit expensive, tourist destination for domestic and international tourists for decades. Now, hotel rooms in the Big Apple may be getting even pricier as new Airbnb rules and enforcement have sharply reduced short-term rentals.
We're going to see my short-term rental apartment. We're in South Slope, Brooklyn.
When New York City updated its policy on short-term rentals last week, Tricia Tolliver, like many other Airbnb hosts in the city, removed her listing from the platform. Before the rules changed, Tolliver says she made about $3,000 a month renting out her property.
It's a really good supplement to my income, and based on that, I made the decision to retire from my full-time job. This is the living room.
Tolliver and other hosts now face strict new rules, including not accepting rentals of less than 30 days. She says the changes will have a major impact.
I'm not able to register this place with the city no matter what because it's a separate residence. The new laws would require me to be sharing the space with the tenants and have no internal locks. I will be watching my pocketbook very closely because it's going to be a pretty big lack of funds coming in for the next foreseeable future.
According to Christian Klossner, executive director of New York City's Mayor's Office of Special Enforcement, registration creates a clear path for hosts who follow the city's long-standing laws and protects travelers from illegal and unsafe accommodations while ending the proliferation of illegal short-term rentals. Critics say the city is bowing to hotel industry pressure and reducing affordable lodging options for visitors. Regardless, short-term rental inventory is set to shrink.
Short-term rental market could decline by 50 to 70%. In New York in particular, the hotels are likely to benefit a small amount, mostly by having more demand such that they could raise prices.
Hennessy says other cities will likely adopt similar rules.
I believe it will spread to other cities, mainly because these cities are talking to each other to develop best practices. Tight urban markets mean that there is a strong need for regulations for what is essentially a relatively new phenomenon.
San Francisco and Santa Monica, California have instituted restrictions on short-term rentals, as have Amsterdam and London. But officials with Airbnb say they do not expect similar rules to spread.
New York City's laws are based on a very archaic and an old approach to regulation. So to other hosts around the world who might be watching, you know, we are going to continue to work closely with your municipalities, with your state and federal governments around the world. We don't anticipate there to be any kind of contagion effect from New York City's rules.
While some feel that the hotels may be the winners in grabbing a piece of the $1 million New York City short-term rental pie, New Yorkers are hopeful that the new rules will lead to more affordable units and perhaps a decrease in rent.
The International Coffee Organization says Kenya is the 5th largest coffee producer in Africa. But like farmers elsewhere, Kenya's coffee growers are being squeezed by climate change, price fluctuations, and now a real estate boom.
This is Kiambu area, nestled south of Nairobi, a cornerstone of Kenya's coffee industry. But with massive harvests from India and Indonesia flooding the market, prices are down. And some farmers are getting out of the business of farming and becoming landlords instead. Modern houses now stand where coffee bushes once thrived, and farmers like 57-year-old Joseph Ndongo believe it's the only rational choice to survive in today's economy.
Coffee is now being overtaken by the real estate because, one, real estate has a good earning. You are getting this money every month. In coffee, you get it. This is a perennial crop. You'll get it once in a year. So you see, real estate is more better than doing coffee or tea.
Just a few years ago, these lands were covered in thriving coffee plantations. Now towering apartment buildings have taken their place, with billboards advertising land for sale at every turn. Stephen Joroge chairs a local farmer's factory, but contemplates his exit from coffee farming.
We are not being paid commensurate to our efforts as farmers. You invest so much in planting, harvesting, you use your own capital, but at the end of the day, you don't get anything out of it. It's frustrating.
Most local farmers' cooperative societies are in disarray, like the Gadhuirini factory, which serves over 700 farmers. Coffee beans sit in sacks collected from farmers several weeks ago, but have yet to be collected by the millers for processing, says Samuel Masharia.
Cooperatives are dying out of loans because there are so much loans that were taken when coffee was a big business. And now that the production has gone down, cooperatives are finding it difficult to meet and pay these loans.
Some economists like Vincent Kimosop say the cooperatives need better leadership and government support.
They need to address the governance issues in those areas so that those who are practicing in the space could actually gain and benefit from such a practice, because demand for coffee is still there. And you can see there are countries that have gotten it right, like in the Latin Americas, that are able to reap
foreign exchange, employment creation, and they contribute significantly to their economies.
The Kenyan government says coffee production in the country has plummeted from about 130,000 metric tons annually in the 1980s to only 50,000 metric tons in 2022.
It's 25 minutes after 7. We've come to the end of our international news. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly.
Bongosi egameni lelibandla letelkhetho nemingcele tinkundla ngingusihlalo walo libandla sihlanganyela nesive malangeni lamahle kuhalalisela ingwenyama inkosi yethu inkosi Mswati wesithathu minyakeni lamashumi lasihlanu nakuhlanu kanye nelive longana kundiphethe wethu ukuthi lo lingana nabo netinsuku tengwenyama letingu 55 nananathi sisive seMaswati sina leminyaka ilengu 55 sesikhululekile ngandiphethe. Siyabonga ke bongosi sisahalalise lemakhosi ethu nelive ukuthi nebayitolo lekungibona lesithi te basebenta lelive makhosi ayitolo nesive seMaswati sonke sayitolo ngoba lokhu lesesifike lamhla siyasakukhanza lesikuhalaliselako ngilokuchamuka kibo lekubita ke ukuthi ke nathi siMaswati njengekukhonjwa indlela makhosi ngosi yelive sichubekeni silibeke live libe ngiloko lekungona lesikukhanzile nathi nalokungcono Maswati silibandla lelikhetho nemingcele sisahalalisele makhosi nelive ngandiphethe sijinga siphinze futhi siwabongele makhosi ngemsebenzi losedulo eveni welikhetho sisitengcile tigaba tokuqala lebesikito nyalo ke sekuseleke sigaba lesesisedulu ke lokungisona sona ke lesisitawu siniketa iparlamente yethu isinikete futhi emabandla enkundla lekuba ubuchopho ke lobakhiwa induna tetinkundla lekungibona bosihlalo bese ke nabobuchopho bemiphakathi benkundla labakha lobuchopho lelibandla lenkundla lekungilona lelisebenzisana kanye neparlamente nahulumende welive leMaswati wonkana. Bongosi emalanga umuntu akandlulise lokuthi ngumhla ka 2026 we special voting bese ulandzela ke umhla ka 29 September walolukhetho lelukhulu lukhetho lwesibili lesongilona loluyifinal ngalawo magama amalangeni sikhutha lwandle sibongele live lebongosi bayethe wena waphakathi wena ungangezindaba Bose.
It's not by the efforts of one, but by the combined efforts of many. You're going to reach people that nobody else can reach. I'm going to mobilize every single person here to win souls. Because God preserved you for this moment. The glory of God's going to run through this land, so much so that it shall shake every realm, shaking it to the very core. And there's nothing the devil can do to stop it. I come and light a fire and watch it burn. God's not finished with Africa. In the divine atmosphere of heaven, the Lord will forge in you that which he wants you to do. and the grace to carry the mantle will be upon your life. God has raised you up for this hour.
Alright, welcome back. Bengiyekele trailer yayi Holy Ghost and Fire African Tour litabe yendeka lapha eVeni on the 23rd and 24th of September 2023. Tabe kuhle impela njengoba taba khona nje Dr. Howard Brown lapha eVeni abambe tona letinkonzo letitabe dilapha emavuso. Solo siyaxoxisana nje naye Apostle Abednego njengase uyasichazela nje ngayo le tour ukuthi vele kutabe kukuhle impela basibema sonke sive semaswati njengoba ubonile nje kuye clip ukuthi vele utawuvakashela emavela ngo-13 lokufaka ikhathi live leSwatini so wavakashele ke lamanye amave kepha ke usitshela kabandisi naye lapha Apostle Abednego njengase let us ngithi update ukuthi kuhamba kanjani ufika nini Dr. Howard Brown lapha eVeni asikongumele futhi Apostle siyabonga nje ukuthi ubuyile selo vele yasichazela ukuthi kuhamba kanjani amalungiselelo ayo itour siyabona ukuthi itaba inkulu impela siyabona nalapha etitfombeni ukuthi kulamanye amave la sawavakashele bamfa phuma ngebuningi babo bafuna ukumbona Dr. Howard Brown ingabe vele mhlambe ukuphi nyalo sengimaphi amavela avakashele utabe ayapi nakasuka la Eswatini.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Mthombeni, ngiyakubingelela nawe, ngiyababingelela nababukeli. Indeed kunendumezulu enkulu ezayo ezweni lakwangwane. Siyasimema isizwe sonke. Sithi kuwe wena ovama ukuthi hambani ngiyawuzwa ngani ukuthi kunjani. Uyawuvama ukusilalelwa uyawushiyeka ngoba njengamanje nje uqala eNigeria bekuvutha umlilo eNigeria ngeke baze bayikhohlwe le experience wasuka eNigeria waya eEthiopia kwavutha amalangabi manje basukule eEthiopia baseKenya solo kuvutha umlilo mabesuka eKenya baye eMalawi kusuka eMalawi baye eSouth Africa kwasuka eSouth Africa ke besebeza kwaNgwane bayatheleka kwaNgwane mhla ka23 September nangomhla ka24 September imvuselelo enkulu emavuso lapha eholweni elikhulu lapha yana asazi ukuthi sakwenza njani ngoba ngiyawuzwa lo mdumo ngiyezwa ukuthi kuzimvula enkulu emavuso ukuthi labantu sawubathini angazi nami kuyawubonakala khona ngoba sizwa ungathi uqhamuka nabase South Africa lekubona Elspruit babedilika khona beza ngeke ukuthi kungaqhamuka abantu abokuhamba baqhamukele emazweni angomakhelwane silalelwe thina kufika imbizo enkulu kangaka ezweni.
Yeah, ngiyakholela Apostle ukuthi senifete incingo left right and center bamfu bayabuta lokwanalokwa
asilali Mthombeni asilali wena ngathi uyazi nje asilali incingo zingena nango-12 nango-1 nango-2 ekuseni kodwa sibe sishilo phela ukuthi cha nalaba abafuna ukuza kusemina abaregister nabo bayashaya kodwa nje hayi akusihluphi laba abashaya bafuna information pertaining to lemvuselelo ezabe emavuso asinayo inkinga bakhululekile ukuthi umuntu ongakezwa kahle asishayele kule inombolo esibanike zona 7696 5755 7696 5755 na 767 57247 767 57247 bakhululeke isizwe senkosi bashaye uma befuna iclarification.
Kubuta nje lapha Apostle ukuthi vele kutabade inkonzo letitawo lasa mhlambe vele ebusuku bonke kukhona yini mhlambe labanye abafundisi lesingabagatha nje mhlambe labasuka khona ebandleni la khona lamanye amabandla labatawushumayela ngaphambi kokuthi kushumayele Dr. Brown nomuntu atibambela yena nje ebusuku bonke
ngeke kuse Mthombeni ngeke kuse khona sawufisa lokubhukusha ukuthi kuze kuse ngoba umoya ingcolo uzabefikile lapha enza izinto zakhe akube sehlukaneka makunjalo ubumnandi ukuthi uNkulunkulu ulivakashele izwe uvakashele abazalwane uhamba ngeenyawo kodwa nje ngeke kuse Mthombeni nalokuthi ke kuzabe kushumayela Dr. Rodney Brown yedwa akekho omunye umfundisi uzabe eshumayela.
So kuvame kwente kanjani nje I think isibonile nje lapha kule video ukuthi kukhona mhlambe labanye labathandezelako kutaba kanjalo yini nalapha eSwatini mhlambe labafuna kuthandazelwa kutawendeka kanjani nje nangazivetela nje isithombe salenkonzo.
Yes, yindoda ehamba ngomoya le njengoba sizwa lesihloko Holy Ghost and Fire Conference. Indoda ehamba ngomoya kukhuluma uNkulunkulu kuye ukuthi thandazela lo, thandazela lo, thandazela lo, lo nanasi Simonas, lo nanasi Simonas. So bazabe bethandazelwa abantu, uzabe shumayela enza konke bathandazela nabantu babeka izandla, kodwa nje ngeke sisho specifically ukuthi cha uzawuthandazelwa ubani, angeke abathandazele lo hlobo olunje lwabantu.
Okay, sike sakhuluma ngenzaba yemabhasi nje Apostle mhlambe kuvela ukuthi i-transport itaba khona yini mhlambe leta organizerwa for sive nje lesisuka khashane bolo mahasha ispeak naso lesifise kuba ingcenye yato leti inkonzo kukhona yini lokubambiseka kwaso sive samaswati.
Akhona amabhasi Mthombeni, ngiyawuthanda umbuzo wakho, ngiyabonga kakhulu. Akhona amabhasi ey'ndaweni ey'khethekile. Asikathanda ukuya kude kakhulu ngoba njengoba sisho nje inkonzo ene-potential yokuthi iphume very late. Sibuke ukuthi uma inkonzo iphuma nga-11 for instance, abantu abayakolavumisa bo-speak ukuthi bafike ekuseni ekhaya. As much as singabavimbeli nabo wonke umuntu okhululekile ukuthi eze, kodwa nje kube ney'ndawo ey'khethekile njengokuthi nje emkhuzweni kwamanzini njengoba la kwangwane iy'ndawo ishaywa ngamadabuli uzwa kuthiwa kunabozombote phambili nasemuva. Emkhuzweni kwamanzini i-contact person ngupastor Sandile Motsa, inombolo yakhe ithi 7642 9523 7642 9523 kusemkhuzweni lapho kwamanzini. Bese kuthi kumathapha kuna Jabulani Tambokhulu, mawuthanda ungathi thambo lenkukhu noma mlenze wenkukhu. Kuna Jabulani Tambokhulu kumathapha inombolo yakhe ithi 7613 9798 7613 9798. Bese kuthi ke eBhunya kunomnumzane Bheki Mhlanga, yena ke inombolo yakhe ime kanje 7680 9662.
Okay.
7680 9662 kuseBhunya ke lapho. Enye futhi inombolo kaMhlanga ithi 763 75 813.
Okay.
763 75 813.
Okay.
Oh no, ngazi confusion. I beg your pardon. Le eyokuqala la imbabane lo. Brightwell kunene.
Okay.
Lo wenombolo 7680 9662. 7680 9662 inombolo leyo ka Brightwell kunene, i-contact person yasembabane.
Okay, kugcina nje sesephetha nje Apostle mhlambe kubutela labo labakhubatekile ukuthi kukhona ni special arrangements leni bendele bona labamba ngama wheelchair, ama crutches, mhlambe nalabo nje labadef abafise kuba ingcenye yekuthola imithandazo, kukhona indzawo le specific labatawuhlala kuyo noma anika kulungisa lokho.
Unfortunately Mthombeni asikawenze lawo ma special arrangements alabo abanokukhubazeka okuthize kube iphutha ngakithi, kodwa asikakhona ukuthi sikwenze lokho Mthombeni. Ayikho i-arrangement enjalo in place.
Okay, no, ngiyavakala sibonga kakhulu Apostle sikhathi sakho mbukele. Yeah, vele kutabe kumnandi kakhulu impela emavuso mhla ka-23 na 24 sovetile lapha Apostle Abednego Ntshangase ukuthi water nawe kungenwa mahala, nemabhasi ayatfolakala nawo amahala. Asibahlolete emakethe sibe sichubeke nehlelo.
For 42 minutes after 7 asiphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni ingwane lomuhle kule phela sonto ke lesibuya kuyo sibone i-return ye-MTN Premier League lapha eveni. We know that our in-house sports journalists Linda Master have always been excited. Sisabuka wona bo Bible Society Cup, sisabuka bo Trade Fair Cup. Master bekasola concerned ngendlela ema-team bekadlala ngawo asho ukuthi hayi man ngathi they are not really ready for starting the season, but let's hear him now ekutheni after seeing these games, Master, nayiqala season, are you satisfied with the way labadlale ngayo? Ngoba ngiyakhumbula ukuthi vele bawukhathatekile nawubuka lama tournaments ahead of qala kwayo season. A very good morning to you.
Ngiyabonga Mnguni. Ngithokoza kakhulu ngivusele nombukelo weSwatini TV loyal viewer. Uteka yona bengikhathateke kakhulu ngaphambi kokuthi iqale yona isizini lensha e-league 2024 ngisemuva. Yeah, bengikhathateke kakhulu nangibuka leli zinga emacembu laqala ngayo ukudlala lama tournament e-pre-season ukukhuluma ngeBible Society ukukhuluma ngeHospice at Home. Kodwa kube sesekuyashintsha ke evikini leliphelile trade fair le standard sanyuka kancane. Lamanye amacembu bawabona lo sicavele wona sekalungiselele siteke nasengibuka ke kuwo onke lamacembu lakhona ladlalile ngeweekend amacembu lengakhona kuwabona kahle licembu leMbabane Highlanders nalidlala neMadlenya kube iDenver Sundowns neIlovo cishe onke lamanye ngibeyile nelithuba lokuwabona eMhlume eKalanga bekudlala ema-defending champions iGreen Mamba itholane neYoung Buffaloes. Woo, what a game. Yeah. What a game. Bengihlele first half be too tactical now ibuka le game, but second half tasithi yashintsha tinvo angena emagoli because le game yagcina in 2-2 angena emagoli wabona ukuthi cha bo coach balungiselele uyabona i-transition uyabona i-formation uyabona the way the teams la set up ngayo and nalama players ayakhona ku responda. Ngicabanga sengilokuhle ke lokho vele ungakatsa lokho ku A game because le game leyo category A iGreen Mamba na iYoung Buffaloes yagcina idrawele 2-2.
Was it the game of the weekend? Asangadlala ama game, was it prospectively the game of the weekend?
Yes.
And then yakhombisa
vele yakhombisa kuba ngiyo nawubuka lamagoli nawubuka lendlela lokwadlala ngayo and ngiworried isifisa ukuthi why ema defending champions angabi ku opening ceremony ye-league because bekumele at least babe senhlangano because enhlangano on Saturday cishe bekunale the big opening yayo i-M10 Premier League bengikatsile ukuthi sibabone enhlangano
but Green Mamba neYoung Buffaloes if you feel like bekufuna iyodlalela khona kule opener.
Yeah because in a game but ke again ngicabanga ukuthi babuka lokuthi enhlangano bekune Manzini Wanderers kuneNsingizini kuneMbabane Swallows kuneRangers babuka the number of fans and nala ukuthi ma teams iRangers neNsingizini asenhlangano becost one.
Yeah, Denver Sundowns versus Ilovo Bang 0-0 by the way, just highlighting the scores, Master, for the benefit of the viewer. Singizini Hotspurs versus Manzini Wanderers, Kwabang 1-1 apiece. Rangers versus Mbabane Swallows. Mbabane Swallows won 2-1 against Rangers. Green Mamba and Young Buffaloes you've highlighted, Kwabang 2-2 Kwabai draw. Highlanders versus Madlenya, Madlenya won 2-1. Here's the interesting part. Nasibuka the top scorers charts, Master. We see Mbut for Dlamini with Green Mamba up there with 2 goals. Leprace Leo, you watched the game. Talk to me about those goals.
Sifiso wayengenela Mbuthu. Wangena as a sub. Unbelievable. Wangena wayishintsha igame. Ngicabanga ukuthi idinvo leto lodzinga kusifiso kumdlali as a coach ukuthi nakangena afike ayishintshe igame. Wangena yena Mbuthu wayishintsha le game wathola lamagoli amabili and ngicabanga ukuthi the second goal ngilo lengicabanga ukuthi labalihle kakhulu, but again nawubuka all the teams ukhuluma ngema top scorers all the teams ukhuluma ngeYoung Buffaloes basekhona labadlali Saviola is back Sicelo Mazibuko Junior is back ingala ku Green Mamba Xolisi Mkhondvo lebesikhatsi ukuthi mhlambe angasayinane team as South Africa is back usobukeka angumdlalo ohlukile yena Mbutho ukhona Javi Mthunzi underrated ngifuna ubuke na free kick na Sifiso alimathe if le sound mhlambe besifakile la lale on board it's so unfortunate ukuthi bengikhuluma before kwenteke le foul le ngathi alimathe le uyayifaka ngixoxela linye colleague lebehlele eceleni kwami kwenteka lokho vele and ngicabanga ukuthi idinvo leti ngihlale ngisho ukuthi ema players la njengabo alawaniki ema free kick la kanje this is a goal yakhe yena Mbutho the first goal lalishaya a very good player, very brilliant player. Understandable.
How many minutes into the game did he score that goal?
In fact, kwaba kanjena Sifiso. Young Buffaloes le free kick ekuqala leli goal ekuqala 55 minutes.
Okay.
Nayisuka isusa iGreen Mamba. Yahamba yokora 56.
Okay, shothi ungene nge second half.
Ungene nge second half.
Okay.
Yes. 56 minutes. Yakora Green Mamba equalizer 82 minutes umdlalo udlaliwe yakora Young Buffaloes bacaba ukuthi through na igoli lakhe sicelo Mazibuko kwathiwa iphelile game yeah but 88 sokusele nje only 2 minutes ukuthi igame iphele waphenza wabuya Mbutho washaya a very good volley but it's so unfortunate ukuthi walimala lapha nakasashaya le yes.
So we might not see him start the next game. Is serious kanganani le injury yakhe?
What's the coach after the game ucabanga ukuthi akathinzeki kakhulu uyethemba ukuthi utawubuya because still naskali akekho so bayethemba ukuthi batawusheshe babuye labadlali
babo. And we do see him starting the next game after this performance obviously. I want us to look at the log standings are the graphic per se but while we do that, highlighting some of the scorers. Mbutho leading, Felix Badenhorst, some of the usual names will be there, of course. Ayanda Kadlela is there, Alima Tsebomshilo, Junior Mazibuko is also there. Here are the log standings, Madlenya, Etulu, alphabetical order at this point.
Yes, but impressed ukhumbula ukuthi Sifiso nasibuya ku trade fair last Monday ngakhuluma ngemadlenya ukuthi ingijabulise kakhulu indlela le approach ngayo I trade fair. Look at bathola I results against Imbabane Highlanders 2-1. Yes, Imbabane Highlanders on the day ema reports athi bathola ama chances lamanengi kakhulu bageja but madlenya yenda lokumcoka kakhulu ukuthi ishaye emagoli iwine igame bahleli lapha etolo sicongweni itolo imanzini sibets enhlangano beyithola nene Monen Pirates inayo iMonen Pirates ikokuqala kule game leyo yasiyabuya imanzini sibets yalishaya goal Innocent Dlamini wathola igoli lekuqala wabuya futhi yena bese kaphumile ke captain wabo Thabetse Muzi Thabetse lengicaba ukuthi kuba coste kakhulu but Mfundo Zwane after injury yakhe la season ubuyile wathola iwinner yayo imanzini sibets Mbabane Swallows against Rangers enhlangano nayo le game lena beyimnanze kakhulu Sifiso because iRangers oh man le goal le Rangers ngicaba ukuthi lihle kakhulu yakora iRangers wabuya Felix Badenhorst wakora le Mbabane Swallows Ayanda Kadlela washaya that winner lengicabanga ukuthi it was a good performance from yona Imbabane Swallows against Rangers lengicabanga ukuthi kutayi booster ecaleni kwabo isizini rally part ngicabanga ukuthi nayo njengoba sengishilo ukuthi idlala khona yadlala ngalesihlanu kalanga idlala neZulu United yawina 1-0 ligoli lakhe eMzoro nabo yibooster le because a team like yona irally part lengandi kahle la season iyadzinga ukuthi iqale kahle isizini Young Buffaloes ne Green Mamba badrawile njengoba sibona ukuthi bayalanzelana 5 and 6 but ngicabanga ukuthi lamanye ama teams Manzini Wanderers singizini North Spurs badlala nabo on Saturday kanye iManzini Wanderers labanengi bebagathe ukuthi idliwe kule game le but ayikhalanga phasi yakhona ukuthi iforce idraw kunsingizini in fact badlala kahle kakhulu against yona insingizini North Spurs Denver Sundowns ilovo iDenver Sundowns le game le bay away ikhona emhlumeni ngicabanga ukuthi nayo Denver Sundowns le game lena take nothing away from yona Ilovo, but
Sundowns should have won that game.
bekumele ukuthi iwine. Mbabane Highlanders abakaqali kahle i-defeat kuyo imadlenya ngicabanga ukuthi lokho kulukhuni isifiso ngasho ngathi i-league first 10 games na ufuna kucompete ungifuna kungena ku top 4 kudzinga ukuthi lo first 10 games lokungenani ube udrope ema-point lamathathu kuphela then utawukhona ukuthi ungene ku top 4 sitawubona ukuthi
ngishayisa ngelivalo ke lokho as a Chelsea fan, but we will get to the English Premier League. Let's look at the next attraction for your MTN Premier League. Denver Sundowns lo ngajabula ngayo ngekuthi ihleke ku leverage iLovo. We'll be playing Monani Pirates next. Hopefully they can justify indlela abadlala ngayo.
Ungayibeti le fixtures fiso i-MTN Premier League kule weekend ngente ngithathele Cave.
Okay.
Kudlala indzebe yeMomo. Lamhla kuyagcina kuvotwa so kusasa kunenteka kube nalabanye labakhala ukuthi team yaba ikangeni so ngeweekend kudlala bona ama playoffs eMomo Cup September nje ukuthi kusasa sawuthola umbiko logcwele ukuthi ngimaphi lamaqembu lagcine akhona ukuthi angene ahambe phambili so far singize no Spurs bekusangiyo lebe salida
since the beginning.
Kwaqala i-Pick Black Swallows yaqala le-pace yayisetha sabona ihamba.
That was short-lived. It was short-lived. Sikizini Hotspurs has proven angiyathi le ndlela abasupporta ngayo abantu baseshiselweni man. But babaprovile ukuthi isikole sinemandla indeed. So I think we may want to pass kubita le fixture master. Maybe we can call it on Friday. Asesibuye kancane Cape Town City losing to AmaZulu DStv Premiership. Was that the only game that was played this weekend, I think?
Ne Chiefs idlalile ne Royal AM ya draw.
It's so sad being a Chiefs fan.
Uteka AmaZulu awinile 3-2 against Cape Town City. Eric Tinkler ku Cape Town City. Ngishilo nabadlala igame yeqala season ngasho ngathi ayi this season ngathi yamshala itibala kusiyo lendlela ya Eric Tinkler lesmarting ngayo mina nje tindzaba lentigadzile namhla noma kusasa lingaphele leviki lijazi litawugcola umoya kuye Eric Tinkler, but a big win for yona AmaZulu ukuthi ingawina. Yes, Kaizer Chiefs versus Royal AM. I think iChiefs ekhaya kwekucala ide isupport eJozi abantu baseJozi abayisaba abethi kutoyibukela na performance yabo abakhoni kuwina kahle nabadlalela khona eFNB yadraw ke against iTwickley Twahla iRoyal AM but lamanye ama games are postponed because some of the teams lamanye bekangadlali because iSundowns bedlala iChampions League nayo iPirates. Yes, but on Friday Friday i-Richards Bay yadlala nayo i-Morocco Swallows and kumele sikhulume nge-Richards Bay sifiso i-Richards Bay Justice Figueiredo wakora kule game le and wathola i-man of the match. Yathi sifiso kubukela le game kusuka iqala yaza uphela bengingafuni kuphathanyiswa because lendlela Figueiredo bekadlala ngayo wangijabulisa kakhulu and fortunately wathola i-man of the match. Ngicabanga ukuthi kuyasikhombisa ukuthi Justice Figueiredo live angalendela in if angadlaliswa kahle because lapha nje bombona vele bekagijima onke ama positions lapha ngembili but so far Mamelodi Sundowns ihlete etulo sicongweni ihamba yodwa 6 out of 6 yona iMamelodi Sundowns ngicabanga ukuthi vele ngasho even after 3 games ngathi once Sundowns wayinika iyagaina le momentum bo 6 games 10 games iyekele seyihambile because kutaba likhulu kuyimisa but I'm impressed nge Golden Arrows now ibuka le position lekuyo number 2 then SuperSport United itawucompete iSuperSport United even this season just like last season Kevin Hunt wakhona kuyihlanganisa le team acompete AmaZulu iwin yabo itolo ngicabanga ukuthi iba boostile kakhulu ibanike 9 points then kune Chiefs itendele pass because yona bekumele ukuthi ibe na 10 ama point iyolingana neSuperSport ihleti enzaweni yesihlanu so ngicabanga ukuthi I get tenteli lokuhle. Orlando Pirates ayikadlali this weekend idlale only 4 games because ba involved ku CAF. Morocco Swallows Steve Kompela uzamile ukuyihlanganisa le team bahleti lapha ku number 9 uzamile ukuyihlanganisa le team nabo Andile Jali ngicaba ukuthi kancane yes le result against Richards Bay ayemvumi but solo uyahlanganisa then Cape Town Spurs ihlete emsileni ya Sean Bartlett le legend but Tinvo atihambeli nani kahle Richards Bay isenzaweni esibele emsileni bekuyiwin I Richards Bay Sifiso bekuyiwin yabo yeqala since last year March league.
That was the flavor, Master, and congratulations to him, Figueiredo. But this is what happens when opportunity meets preparation. We do congratulate him on that man of the match as well. Just briefly, Master, just under a minute left. So let's quickly look at the English Premier League. Some of these games we don't want to talk about. We do want to highlight Liverpool's big win, yes, and Arsenal's good win against Everton. Chelsea and Manchester
United.
First
win Arsenal at Goodison Park since 2017.
Okay,
yes.
Let's talk about that. You watching that game, what are your sentiments as an Arsenal fan?
Bekumele ukufake lokho. Okay, sifisa ngicaba ukuthi le game etolo I difference kube ngiTrossard le ngihlala ngikhala ngaye ukuthi uyadzinga ukuthi aqale igame and Martinelli ushaya goal but la rulwa offside and waphuma through lapho but kunalenye igame Bournemouth versus Chelsea le game lena ibe nama shots la about 16 kodwa kube bede ligoli Bournemouth versus Chelsea ngicaba ukuthi Chelsea tinwa tihambele kahle nawe as a Chelsea fan awujabuli ngale result le but lamanye ama games Liverpool versus Wolves ngicaba ukuthi Liverpool away Sifiso kulukhona ikudlala Cabo Wolves uthole ushaya 3 goals nabo I'm impressed with Aston Villa the way le ashaya ngayo iCrystal Palace
asasibalekele indzaba ekuba impressed Master what is happening lapha Cabo Manchester
bengifuna kugcina khona lapho
siyagcina sekude isikhathi
ekhaya eOld Trafford bashaya 3-1 and Sifiso iManchester United ishaya 3-1 nje ibuya kushaya 3-1 just before international break so ulabo 3-1 yabalandzela iManchester City 5 out of 5 ema point labanawo ema gaming lang 5 bawine onke bahleti lapha etulo siqongeni iTottenham Hotspurs coach wabo manager wabo uthole manager of the month ba deserve ba number 2 bana 13 oma point balengene neLiverpool neArsenal then there is Brighton ku number 5 nayo this season uyachubeka nekwenta kahle washo coach wabo ukuthi noma bangabathenga abadlali but the spirit angeke baze basithenge khona ku Brighton.
So looking at how le record ya Brighton singasho ukuthi besingayigatsa le win against Manchester United but not 3-1
if bongathi asibheje bekuvumelekile kubheja bengidamfaka 500 singithi Brighton
is going to win that
game. Yes.
Okay, then I can always trust you, Master. My insights are coming on lapha ehlelweni. Yet again, Master, thank you so much for gracing us on the show and providing us with your insights. Very appreciated. We've come to the end of the program yet again. A very beautiful week to you. Kunekuba makhata lo mhlapa nje le weather ingahle be confused, so you do want to carry that jersey as you head out for work. Lo muhla. Have a good day.